Hey everyone, this is Sarah Gambles, and we're going to be talking with Sarah Kim today. She makes incredible paper flowers. I'm sure a lot of you have seen her work. She does like really pretty bouquets and stuff. So we're really excited. She's going to talk about her business, and then she's also going to talk about, she's going to teach us how to make some of her flowers. So it'll be really fun. So let's see if she's on. Does anyone have any fun Memorial Day plans? I know, as much as you can do with quarantine. Okay, here she is. We'll go ahead and add her. Hey,
Hi.
Sarah.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you. So I guess we can just get started. So tell us
Yeah.
about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get started?
I'm from Riverside, California, and about an hour away from LA. And how I got started with making paper flowers, I want to say it's been a good 10 years now, being in business. And then we went from doing a bunch of hobby related stuff. I used to make jewelry, scarves, like all sorts of, I don't know, just crafty things. And
Uh-huh.
then I think I filtered it out and did only wedding related stuff. And then literally this year was the first year that I'm only doing paper flowers. But for the longest time, I would be making like sashes, headpieces, veils. So that's kind of how I started my whole business. It was in the wedding industry.
Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing that you can do that. It's your stuff is so beautiful.
Thank
I love
you.
it. So, how did you get connected with Michaels? Are you because you're one of their like featured makers right now, right?
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
exciting.
I mean, they just reached out to me, and I mean, we were like, okay, cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously shop there all the time, and I shop at like all the craft stores. So I was like, it's amazing that I
Yeah.
could work with them. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So, where do you find the inspiration for what you're making?
So I actually live in a little like historic neighborhood. It's Victoria Avenue in Riverside, California, and it's like this maybe a couple miles long street, and it's just filled with old trees, big old trees. It's like eucalyptus trees and like I don't know, all sorts of like botanical stuff,
Hmm.
and it's very well kept. They have a lot of orange trees, rose bushes, all miles long, and it's really like our treasure in this small city. And we do our morning walks, afternoon walks there, and that's literally if I feel stuck at home and I feel like I can't get creative, I literally just go out for a walk, and I'm like, oh, this is it's literally from nature itself. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds like a beautiful place.
Yeah, and other than that, I obviously do a lot of like Google research, and I look through like real florists, people that work with
Mhm.
real flowers, and I also look through cake makers, like cake decorators.
Oh, that's
So I
cool.
try not to look for my own like fellow paper flower makers because I feel like I can't come up with newer ideas. I
Right.
feel like stuck with them. Yeah. So if I look through like people that work with different mediums, it's more inspiring.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome. Okay, well, would you want to show us how to do the flowers now?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can keep talking and asking questions that people are asking and some that I have.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this around. Okay, so this is the pattern that I chose for. It's in the library section. It's the 3D full wreath, and then I just gathered the petals and then the fringes. So that's the fringes. And then I put it in this format because I'm going to show you guys a little trick what I do. Let me put this back on now. So, oh, wait, I'm upside down now, huh? So that. So before I hit send, I am I looking okay there?
Yeah, just
Okay.
we can see like the paper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I use like a 65 pound or less um, text weight cardstock. And then I'm actually going to add a little bit of color. I'm no watercolor expert, but I like to use the paint to get some color on a white paper.
Oh,
And
pretty.
this way you could customize any color you want. You just want to make sure you don't soak the paper because then it'll just get really soaked. So you have to be really careful how much water you put. I also use gouache paint, which is a little thicker, and I also use watercolor pencils. So it's just like a color pencil, but then you could add water and the pigment dilutes itself.
Oh,
So if
cool.
you just kind of paint both sides, I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like. So it's just random. Honestly, it's not like cute or anything, but I promise you guys it makes a huge difference. So you do that just up to there, and then you flip it around after it dries and do the same side. So I made one already. And this is the cut. Once it's
Okay.
cut, it has the petals on the painted side, and then it has the fringes that are plain. And then on the other side, it's the same thing. So
Such a
you
good
guys
idea to
can
paint them
see
before.
that. Huh?
That's such a good idea to paint it before you
Yeah.
cut. I would have never thought to do it that way.
And that way the petals kind of have this like gradient
Uh-huh.
look.
Yeah,
So
pretty.
once you have that ready and you take it all off, these are my 5 petals with the little fringe part. So there's my 5 petals, and look how gradient the colors look. So it looks a little bit more realistic, and there's
Yeah.
like stroke marks too. So I really like that. And again, you could do like watercolor pencils to do more fine pigmented look. So
Yeah.
once you have that, I'm actually going to cut the 5 all together. Just the corners because I like to have it tapered. So I've tried this shape for other flowers, but the flower that I'm making, I like the tapered bottom. So really it's just easy. You're just taking the 5 pieces and just the corners, you're just going to kind of do it into like a triangle. But I actually leave the bottom straight though, just to have a little bit of a surface. If it's pointy, there'll just be less surface for you to glue on. So you
Okay.
have those ready. And then for the white fringes, I'm going to grab a black marker. It could be a Sharpie, it could be, you know, this is just a fancy black marker I just happen to have because I wanted to do lettering, but never got around to it. So then I'm actually going to color the tips black. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just it could be whatever little strokes. So that's what it
Yes.
looks
Make
like.
it kind of look real once it's rolled.
Yeah. And then it kind of like dips into the back naturally, and it's okay. If you want to do the other side too, you can do that too if you want. But I'm just gonna do the one side. And then I'm gonna get some tissue paper. So just a scrap of tissue paper, white tissue paper, and then a black tissue paper.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be perfect though.
Yeah.
So you can use whatever tissue paper you have left over from shopping. And then you're just going to crumble the white one. So you make it into like a little ball. Then I'm going to open it back up just so I could stick my wire in. That's my wire,
What kind
floral
of
wire.
wire are you using?
I don't know what brand it is, but you can find it in the floral section at Michael's or Joann's. They're they're usually winded up in a circle,
Okay.
and then it has this like natural, like, I don't know, wood covering.
Yeah, it's
But you
pretty.
can use regular just floral wire too. That's smooth, and then we're gonna floral tape it anyways. But this is kind of nice if you want to leave it natural too. It
Hmm.
already looks like a piece of wood, you know?
Right.
Um, this one's really nice because it comes with a lot, so you could reuse it over and over.
Yeah.
And then black tissue paper. If you don't have black tissue paper, you could use white tissue paper and just mark it with black markers. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the corner. And I'm going to wrap the white tissue paper up. And then you could squeeze it down so that the top part looks like a ball. And
Hmm.
then the bottom part is attaching to the wire. So it looks like it belongs to the wire.
Okay.
And then the fringe part, I think it's actually a little too tall, so I'm going to trim the bottom part um, so that I could get closer to the fringes.
Okay.
And then you can go ahead and glue that onto the black tissue paper. And then you want to glue it every so often so it doesn't unravel on its own.
Right.
And here. And then I'm going to open it up.
Little.
And then you can see all that like textured, the black look and the texture
Right.
from the fringes. And then I like to kind of shape it so that it goes into the center. So it's like out and then in, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
curve it out and then in.
So out and then in. So there's the look.
Pretty. It's coming together so fast.
Yeah. It's actually one of my favorite flowers. It is easy to make, and it's satisfying. Because
Yeah.
some flowers, it may take a long time, and then it doesn't even look that good. So you're like, oh. So these are the petals. This is actually for beading, like for rhinestones, I think. It's called a bead rimmer, I think.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's in the jewelry section at your hobby stores, your craft stores. But you can use like a kebab stick. It is nice because it has like a pick. So if I have to like
Hmm.
poke a hole, I could use it. And it has like this texture like a nail filer. So I think it grabs the paper when I curl it. So I
Oh,
actually take all five. Depending on how thick the paper is, you may or may not be able to do all five. But mine, I could kind of get all five in there.
yeah.
So
Then
then
it gives
it
like a
curls.
nice curl.
Yeah. And then I'm going to curl the tops, just the corners out. So it goes in and then it goes out on the top. So
It's
yeah, this
crazy how
is,
those little things make it look so much more real. Like instead of just having it be straight or
oh
flat.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. So you're going to do the same thing to the other set of five because we're going to do 2 layers and each layer will have 5 petals. So there you go. You could use like a kebab stick or like a chopstick or something, but if you happen to find this, it'll be in the jewelry section at your craft store. So there. So once you have that, I'm gonna just take the corner on the bottom and then start gluing it on the side. So I kind of bring it a little bit lower and then onto the side there.
Pretty.
So there.
So it's
And
like
you want
barely
to,
covering the white.
yeah, just a
Okay.
little bit,
Okay.
not up all the way up to the fringes.
Hmm.
And we have 5 pieces, so you almost have to kind of remember that. And I always envision like a star. So, you know, what the shape of a star looks like. So I'm trying to make sure that all 5 will fit around the circle. But you'll have to think of it like a star shape instead of like an even number. If it was 4, 4 petals, I would think of it like a plus sign. But because there's 5, I'll think of it like a star.
Okay.
So
So then you get the spacing right.
yes. So making sure that there is enough for 2 more after you put the
Uh-huh.
3. Yeah. So you finish off the first side. And then the last one, I'll tuck it right in there too. I hope that
So
shows.
pretty.
Yeah, there. And then the last set of 5. So we don't have to worry about how this isn't that cute so far because we're going to cover it up. But yeah, so then the next set of 5, you're going to just go in between.
Okay.
So in between the first 2.
And then kind of follow that star pattern just
Yes.
in
Once you
between.
have the first set down, the second set is really easy. And you could mix and match. Like some of the flowers you make, you could only do the first layer. And then if you want it to look a little more fuller, you could do the double layer.
Okay. So how did you get started making paper flowers specifically?
I used to do a lot of like scrapbooking and card making. That was kind of my initial start of all my like hobby adventures. So it just one day, I think I wanted to make like a backdrop for my wall. So I was like, okay, let me try making paper flowers. And this was way before Instagram existed or Pinterest. So I just kind of figured it out on my own. And that's basically one of the techniques that I'm still using from the beginning. But it was just, yeah. And then now, I mean, over the years, it's become definitely like an evolved
Yeah.
thing.
That's
And so this
impressive.
is the green paper. It could be, I mean, it could be bigger. I just happen to have this piece left. So then there's no like specific measurements. And then I'm going to cut out 2 green leaves. And you could use the silhouette for this too, but I don't think I found like the normal leaf that I just wanted. So I figured I'll just cut it myself.
Yeah, sometimes by
So,
hand.
so this is the just regular 2 leaves, nothing fancy. Oh, I also really like textured paper. So if you go to the open cardstock section at Michael's, um, they always have like a textured side, which is really nice. So this is a smooth side, and that's the textured side, and the textured side always kind of adds a little bit of a character that you like.
Yeah.
So if you have any areas that are like not clean, you could cover it up with these 2 leaves. Or if you look at your flower and it looks a little lopsided, then the leaves will visually help kind of busy the area. So you could always use the leaves for your advantage too. So they actually have a purpose. So once you have that, that's what it looks like on the bottom. That's what it looks like on the top.
So
And
pretty.
I'll curl the leaf a little bit too to not
Yeah.
make it look like it's just sticking out straight.
Yeah.
So there. And then I have some floral tape. This is, I think it was from Michael's initially. I don't know if they carry it anymore, but they used to have this like light green. they have it on Amazon for sure, so you guys could try finding that. And the trick to floral tape is you have to stretch while you're like taping it. So you have to stretch it and put it onto the tape itself. That's the only way the stickiness actually goes onto it. If you're just like wrapping it slowly, it's not going to tape, basically.
I remember the first time using it being like, so I think I bought some defective tape.
Yeah.
So, no, you have to stretch it.
Yeah, there's actually a way to like make sure that they're working. And then you're just kind of bringing that all the way down.
You're so
And
fast.
I like this wire because it has texture even after you floral tape it.
Oh, that's cool.
Whereas like regular wire, it's just smooth. Certain flowers I'll use regular wire, so it just depends on the type of flower I want to make.
Uh-huh.
So there is
Beautiful.
our anemone. And you can grab just another, this one's a little bit thicker. It's more of a real cardstock. I'll just fold that in half. And then you can measure it out. Make sure you cut out the area that you don't like there. And then I found this really cool like craft shipping tape. It was for shipping, and then I was like, oh, I think it's actually kind of cute to use.
That's the best.
Yeah. And then I think if you just Google like craft shipping tape, you'll be able to find this. And then that's kind of the tape. It looks like washi tape. You can use washi tape, but I wanted to
holds better than washi.
Yeah. So there. And then now you can do one, or you can pair it with a second one and change up the colors, of course.
So pretty.
This is the one I previously made. And it was like a pink and an orange. And then these are my little signs that I printed. I do not have cute writing. If you have cute writing, then you can do cute calligraphy on there. But so I thought it would be really cute for like graduation cards, since everybody's graduating right now, or like a I miss you card.
Oh yeah.
So either one. And then I will double side tape it. And then you could kind of eyeball it in the corner.
That's so pretty. I love like the white space with the little message on it.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like that's kind of your aesthetic. I love it.
So there. That's the two cards.
Pretty.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite flower that you like to make?
Okay, let me
bring
it back over here. My favorite flower for sure has to be the peony. Peonies are actually really expensive, unless you find it at Trader Joe's. But peonies, they're definitely the most like satisfying look. They're really big and luscious. But they're my regular favorite flowers. And I really like ranunculus. They're really pretty and they're very trendy. I follow the flower trend, like wedding flower trends. Make sure that I'm able to make them out of paper.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, wait, hold it up for a little bit longer. I want to see it again.
So that's the two, and that's the one. They're both cute. Extra special for this one. And then, yeah. And these are my favorite for like gift toppers. So instead of like a ribbon on top of a gift, you can put like two flowers on it. Or just like I also wrap it all up, make it look like a real wrapped bouquet. So you can do that as well. And then
Pretty.
arrangements, you can see I put them in little vases there.
I love it.
Yeah. And then these are the paper palm fronds.
They're
They're
so
actually really easy to make.
really.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. So, is there anything that you would want people to know or things that you have coming up, like different projects or workshops, maybe a little different now?
Yeah. I do have a handful of online workshops where it is a paid version, but I go step by step for an hour long, up to an hour long, for the advanced flowers. So I do the peony, I actually do have the anemone, but it's an anemone and poppy version. And then the proteas, a handful of different ones. And then I have all sorts of different DIY tutorials on YouTube. So you guys could check out my YouTube channel. It's Handmade by Sarah Kim, Sarah without an H.
Awesome. I
Mhm.
love it.
Mhm.
Well, do you have any advice or tips for people wanting to make paper flowers or just wanting to start making stuff?
I think you just need to keep creating, like just use every excuse to make some for friends and family. If it's someone's birthday, I'm like, even if you don't like paper flowers, I'm making it for you. And then, I mean, and that's how I started really. It was just like even jewelry making. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna make it for people and gift it during their birthdays, Christmas, you know. So I think just don't give up and you just keep making whenever you can. And this is the perfect time to get into crafting because I mean, if you're just home and you're like, oh, I have some paper, you could use printer paper. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are like, oh, do you need fancy paper? But it's actually not that fancy. I always start with white paper, you can tell, like,
Yeah.
and you can do all sorts of different colors. And then if you have even like construction paper or something, you can use that.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Like it's more accessible than you think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Totally. Someone says, "How did you adhere the flowers on your wall?"
This one?
I think that's what they're asking.
Okay. I have it on command strips.
Okay.
So command strips, they won't, I mean, like, I could just push pin it if it is my own wall, so I could push pin it. But
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, take it down and put other stuff in the future. So I just I just command stripped it. So I attached it on a foam board in the back, and then I command strip taped it to the back.
Okay, that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Hmm.
Someone says, "Where do we find this design?"
This one,
The anemone.
it was in the free design store
Oh, okay, that's
from.
what I thought.
Yeah, and it was under the 3D flower wreath. So
Oh,
if you actually open it up, there I think there's like a bunch of like green the wreath version, and then on the
mhm.
bottom it has the fringes and then it has the petals. So I wanted to just use the petal shape. So you can just take out the wreath part. I mean, or unless you want to make the wreath, but
Mhm.
you could use the petal shape and then the fringes.
Okay, perfect.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I can put it in our stories so you
Hmm.
can swipe up to get it too. Awesome. Well, is there anything you would want to share or anything you want people to know about you or flowers or
Oh,
let's
it
see.
says there's a question. Repeat the thickness of the paper. So I actually like to use 65 pounds or under. Sadly, like when they're really thin, like printer paper, they're not like that cute of a color. It's always kind of vibrant white, even though it's white. So it's hard
Mhm.
to find the right um, thin paper. That would be the best because it's like easier on your hands.
Right.
But so I usually find somewhere between 60 to 65 pounds. If you find it at Michael's, they're usually 65 pounds. I don't use the 110 one, which is like really thick. That's probably the thickness of the card. I think it's like
Okay.
110 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with weddings, what kind of things do you make for weddings? So now you're mostly doing just the flowers. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
so we still do like wedding bouquets and we've done like the entire wedding party out of paper flowers. We've done centerpieces and then the whole bridal like line of that. But in the past, we would do like sashes, headpieces, like the accessories. So the same idea of making the paper, if you make it out of felt or chiffon, it's like the same technique.
Okay.
So that's why I was able to make both like the accessories versus the paper version.
Hmm.
I like the paper version because I feel like I don't have to concentrate just in the wedding industry. I like we've done so well during Mother's Day. Everybody wanted to gift them for their moms. Like I can't really do that with my white chiffon flower.
Yeah.
I mean, they could buy them for their mom, but like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I
where's
that's
she wearing
why I
that?
wanted to kind of get away from that. And now that I'm not interested in weddings because I'm already married and have a kid, I'm like, yeah, I want to make paper flowers for moms, for teachers. It was teacher appreciation. That's usually really huge for when people purchase paper flowers. And we also do little like paper cactuses and succulents, if you see right
Oh,
there.
okay. Yeah, I was.
And they're cute little gifts. And I guess I wanted to do more of a everyday gifting idea instead of
Oh,
just weddings. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
not so like niche.
Yeah. Although,
That,
I mean, I did love weddings and I did
yeah,
love the lace and pearls, but yeah. But basically, if you guys want to try making like chiffon flowers, they are really pretty too. You could add the rhinestones in the middle instead of the little fringes. So you can definitely get creative with just the idea of flower making.
yeah, I love that.
Hmm.
And I like that it's like it isn't because I 'cause sometimes when people think of flowers too, you think immediately weddings, but
Yeah.
there is so many other uses.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure that your friends and family have like a really high precedent. They're like, okay, she's gonna give us something really cute and really creative.
It's a lot of pressure. Although I usually gift my trial and error ones to my mom. She's like, "Is this your trial and error one or the one that you mastered?" I'm like, "I don't know."
You're like, it's the one I mastered for
Yeah.
sure. That's awesome. So what do you do when you kind of when you have an idea, like when you're kind of stuck on something, like what helps you kind of push through that? Like
I
after
could
your
sit
trial and error,
for
I was just
hours and hours just staring and throwing it away. I think my biggest advice would just be like I know some people for some people like the resources that you have, it's going to be very limited. But like I had to come to the point where I was like, okay, it's just paper. I can get more. I don't need it. Like I still kind of save every little scrap of paper. It's like not a good thing. But I'm like, okay, let's just restart it all over because I feel like when I stare at it and it doesn't look right and I try to only tweak within what I just made, I can't come up with a new possibility basically. So I'm almost like just give like just put that away, start all over.
yeah.
And that's why you can use printer paper. Like just test it all out on a printer paper and then save the cuter paper for later.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And if you run out of the cute paper, you can paint it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Awesome. Well, I've really liked talking with you, and I hope to have you back sometime soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah, make sure you follow Handmade by Sarah Kim and check out her workshops and just everything she does is awesome.
Aw, thank you.
Well, thanks. Have a good weekend.
Thank you guys. Thank you for joining.
Thanks. Bye.